Welcome to the Hong Kong On Screen podcast, brought to you by Hong Kong On Screen, a Los Angeles-based non-profit organization promoting films and culture of Hong Kong.
Welcome back to the Hong Kong On Screen podcast. Today, I'm very honored to be joined by two very special guests for a special episode about All Shall Be Well, director Ray Yeung and producer Teresa Kwong. So, All Shall Be Well is a film from Hong Kong in the year 2024, and it has done incredibly well, especially at the Berlin International Film Festival, where it won the Teddy Award for Best LGBTQ themed film across all sections. And this Saturday at our second Hong Kong On Screen Film Festival, we're incredibly honored to be able to bring All Shall Be Well to Los Angeles for its Los Angeles premiere. So in anticipation of that, we have brought director Ray and producer Teresa on our podcast to share a few things about the film. So one of you, why don't you start by kind of introducing what the film is and...
Okay, all right. I shall start. Hello, hi, LA. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for showing All Shall Be Well. The story is about a pair of lesbian couple, and they've been together for over 40 years, Pat and Angie. And Pat suddenly passes away, and Angie having to deal with Pat's family members. And then it's about the inheritance rights and the lack of LGBTQ rights in Hong Kong. And also it's about what is the meaning of family in today's context.
Great. So one of the things that I've been telling my friends and just people around is that it's really very incredible that All Shall Be Well won an award at Berlin, because Berlin is considered one of the big three film festivals in the world, and Hong Kong movies have... It's very hard for any movie to do well at all, to be selected at all, let alone winning an award. And you know, Hong Kong is a very small cinema country, so it's kind of quite rare in our history to win an award there. I don't think it's happened more than 10 times. So I guess just kind of, I'm sure you've been telling this story many times, but just like tell us your reaction to when that happened and how the whole journey came about.
Well, for us, there is more than just double happiness. First of all, we have spent some years in order to make this film happen. For us, that's already a big achievement. And also, and then we are able, because Berlin, it's always been our target festival. I would say one of the top festival that we are aiming at, and we're so happy that after Suk Suk we are able to get into Berlin again this year, and we never imagined that we are able to got, as you just said, two major recognition, at the festival. Other than the Teddy Award, we also got the Panorama Audience Award, which is came for the third. So for us, those 2 weeks in Berlin, it's just like, one happiness after another. Yeah. So at one point we kind of thought, is it really real? And also for us, Berlin, I think that was the first time ever for our major crew and cast to be able to get together again after the film being complete in 2023 before we start the editing. Yeah. So for us, it's so many good news, and even now it's already September, we still feel at some time we feel we're still still on the top. Yeah. So on the whole, we are all very happy and feel very blessed as well. Yeah. So
yeah, and we just got some good news. We also just been accepted into the BFI London Film Festival, which is starting October as well. So that's another very prestigious film festival, and we are very happy to be selected to be shown and shared with the British audience as well.
So on the international stage like that, at this kind of filmmaking environment, I guess, like what is the significance of getting selected or winning awards at prestigious film festivals like this?
Well, I think because our movie is a LGBTQ subject matter and is also not starring like young, very well-known actors as the main lead or a story about like a young lovers or romantic story. So in a way, it is quite a difficult movie to sell. But having won these awards, basically you are being endorsed publicly by a very prestigious organization. And basically, that is a sign of approval. And in that way, that we were able to get a lot of international distributors' interest. So I think in terms for the reputation of the film, the festival awards definitely is important, especially for non-commercial movies.
Yeah, and congratulations for all the awards and the festival selections. So a little bit more about director Ray Yeung's background. Please feel free to add any information if I'm missing anything. So to my understanding, you were born in Hong Kong and then you were sent to a British boarding school at around 13. And then later you went to the Columbia University School of the Arts in New York for an MFA in film production degree. And then after that, you joined the legal sector for some while, or maybe that was before Columbia, and then you kind of started making films throughout the last decade until you had your breakthrough with Suk Suk, which is quite well known to most audiences in Hong Kong, I believe. And then now All Shall Be Well is your follow-up to Suk Suk, or otherwise known as Twilight's Kiss in America. So I think one of the things that struck me the most when I watched the film, which is I personally am a huge fan of Suk Suk, and I kind of was expecting something similar. I think a lot of people were just expecting, the lesbian version of Suk Suk, which is such a reductive way of looking at film, I know. But like, I was personally just expecting that, and was expecting something kind of sensual and romantic like Suk Suk. And then I was completely taken aback that All Shall Be Well is essentially a legal drama. There's like almost no sensuality in the film at all. So I guess my question for you is like, what made you choose this genre or this avenue to take on this story?
Yeah, I think it's funny because when I finished making Twilight's Kids, so I thought, well, I'm done with that kind of like older LGBTQ subject matter. But in 2020, I went to a talk about the Hong Kong LGBTQ inheritance rights sort of workshop. And there, the speaker quoted a few cases which were very similar to the situations of All Shall Be Well. And I thought that is a very interesting topic. So I approached the speaker and asked him whether he would introduce those people to me, which he did. And then I interviewed them and decided to write a story. And because we're dealing with a couple who have been together for many years, so they have to be a certain age. And then when the story came out and the script came out, a lot of people asked us to call it Sam Sam, like a female.
Auntie.
But aunties, yeah.
Auntie, yeah. So I didn't think that would be fair because then exactly the audience would expect it to be like a female version of Twilight's Kids about two older women falling in love. And this is not the story about that. So I think it was important to have a title that's completely separate from that. So that people can approach this movie separately as an entity on its own.
I see. But I think what makes this kind of like a Ray Yeung film or your film, like where I can see your voice, is that even though the story is quite melodramatic, like it's literally life and death circumstances, I think it's still very patient and quiet, and you know, it has this observational gaze about kind of slice of life moments. And I'm just wondering, like, what gravitates you towards that kind of filmmaking style?
Well, because exactly that storyline, if you approached it in a very dramatic way, it can easily turn into a soap opera, and you can sensationalize the whole subject matter. And then people might find it very entertaining or find it very engaging in a particular way. But it's not the subject matter where I want to approach it, because I want people to think about the story and really, really sort of like understand what is going on with all the different characters, what the dilemmas that they are facing, and how difficult their choices are. I try not to portray that they are villains or heroes in the movie, because in reality, in real life, we all are in a certain way think about ourselves first. And that doesn't mean that you are a villain or you are a hero, but it's just the different circumstances make you decide certain things. But of course, is there right or wrong? Of course there is, you know, and I hope that people can watch the movie and understand that, oh yes, maybe these people are doing these things for their own benefit. Maybe you can see it as selfish, but also they are doing it for their own good. But is that the right thing to do? Is that are they complying with their oral obligation? So it's maybe in a way the movie is a little bit for more mature audience, where people need to bring their own experience and also bring their own way of thinking, their values in life, and try to read the movie that way, rather than like a movie that spoon feeds you with a lot of information and tell you what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah, and I think at least I appreciate that a lot, and I think all the audiences will appreciate that. And one more question about kind of like the construction of the film. I think I'm not sure if you've been asked this a lot, but I noticed two names in the credits that I was curious about. One of them is the cinematographer, Lam Kai, who has shot a lot of films from Hong Kong that I really like for cinematography. And the other is obviously the editing, which is William Chang Suk Ping. So I'm just curious, like, what was it like to work with these two people, and especially because we know William Chang is quite famous in the US, at least, for working with Wong Kar-wai.
Right. Ming Kai, actually, we met at Columbia. He is a fellow student. So we had met when we were in film, you know, sort of like at Columbia together, the film degree. So we already worked together before in school, in film school. So, you know, as it happens, we were the two only Hong Kong students. So it was quite good that we got connected right there and then. He actually moved back to Hong Kong before me, I think. Yeah. So so that was someone that I already worked with for a while. William, is a funny story was that after I edited Twilight's Kiss, I used to show it around to people and ask for their comments. So I asked Stanley Kwan, also a famous Hong Kong film director, to come and watch it. And then he said, oh, can I bring a friend? So I said, sure. So he brought a William Zhang Soping. And so after they watched the movie, they said, oh, let's go and have coffee. And I tell you, from the screening room to the coffee shop was like 20 minutes. It felt like 4 hours, because I was just sitting there thinking, my God, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? Are they going to hate it or whatever? So anyway, we got there, and then of course they have a lot of comments, particularly William had a lot of suggestions. So at a certain point I said, well, if you have so much, you know, ideas, so many ideas, why don't you edit it? So William said, okay, all right, I'll do it. So that was that. So he just came on board like that. And then the working relationship was wonderful. It was a very good collaboration. And so therefore this time, when before we actually started shooting Or Shall Be Well, I already asked him whether he was interested. And he said yes, before reading the script.
And he's been very active in supporting many kind of like young filmmakers or rising filmmakers. So yeah. So I guess my next question is for both Ray and Teresa. So we all know Hong Kong is quite a difficult filmmaking environment nowadays for many various reasons. And so I'm just curious, like, what were the kind of production challenges for making an indie film like this in Hong Kong, especially a queer-themed one?
Yeah, it's always difficult, but as I said, I mean, I think for All Shall Be Well, but well, I mean, the process is not as I mean, is as difficult as Suk Suk. One of the reason it's because as Ray said, he got an idea of making this film is around year 2020. And we all know that was the time, yeah, we are having COVID. Yeah. So we are supposed to make that film maybe 1 year earlier, but we have encountered, I mean, difficulty while, let's say, for example, fundraising. And at one point, we think we are ready to do the shooting, but it's impossible because that was the time we have to stay indoor and all kind of social distancing policy being imposed. So that's why we have to wait until until year 2022 Christmas December in order to start the shooting. Yeah. So yeah, it's difficult. Yeah. And yeah. So yeah. For Ray, is there anything you want to add?
I think with the queer subject matter was that when we were doing Twilight's Kiss, it was particularly difficult because casting was hard because we were looking for actors in their 60s, that age group, who are willing to play gay part, and there were sex scenes as well. So we took a whole year of casting, and I think that would be one of the challenges shooting in Asia, is to be able to find the right cast. I think had the roles been characters under 40, it might be easier. I think actors around the age group are much more open, but because with Twilight's Kiss, the age group was in their 60s, it was a bit hard. When it came to All Shall Be Well, it was easier in that way because, first of all, I think women in general don't have so much hang-ups about playing a gay part. And then on top of that, I already worked with Petra before in Twilight's Kids, so I basically offered her the role. So that was most of the challenge of casting is sorted because I already found my main character. So the other character is Pat, and then that took a while because in order to find an actress of that age and able to capture the essence of Pat was very difficult because a lot of the Hong Kong actresses of that age group have already been acting. Some of them have retired. The one who remained in the industry has been playing mothers for years and years and years. So it'd be very difficult to convince the audience that, this person could be a sort of very outgoing and sort of like independent lesbian. So eventually I watched an old TV show and discover Maggie Lee, Li Lim Lim. The show is called 輪流轉. Directed by Johnnie Do Ki Fong, actually, in a TV show. And Li Lim Lim was in it, and she played this very independent schoolgirl and has a lot of attitude and very it girl kind of way. So I thought, wow, this actress is really good. So I approached her because her husband is still acting, and now Gang Dai-wei Sin-san is still very active. So through him, we were able to talk to Maggie, and she luckily have watched Twilight's Kids before, and she really likes it. So she read the script and she came on board. So the casting for this was not as difficult. Yeah.
So I'm gonna come back to this later, but this leads well into my next question, which is about Petra Au, which is I don't know if some audiences might remember her as being the breakout star of Twilight's Kiss, which is such a weird term to use because she's been on the stage for many years, but it was her first film role and she was astonishing. Everyone was immediately won over, and she won the Best Supporting Actress at the Hong Kong Film Awards, and you kind of gave her Stars Born moment, and now you've brought her back as the lead of your next film. So I was just wondering, like, was it a super instant natural decision? Did you write the character around her? Did you design it for her? Did you still have to audition her? What was the process of casting her like?
Well, actually, like I said, in 2020, I already had the idea. So while I was writing the script, during that time we were doing a lot of promotions of Twilight's Kiss, and so Petra and I, went to a lot of Q&A together, or sort of like get to know each other quite well. And she's a lovely, lovely lady, and very soft on the outside, but actually very can be very firm, inside. So I thought she has a good essence, very similar to the character Angie that I was writing. So in a way, I was sort of projected a little bit of Petra in the Angie. So yeah, when I finished writing the script, I showed it to Teresa, I remember, and Teresa read it. And then she said, "Oh, are you thinking of casting Petra?" Do you remember, Teresa? And then I said, "Oh,
Yeah.
yeah." And she said, "Yeah, because it just feels like Petra in this script." So in a way, I didn't particularly think that I had to use her, but there was certainly elements of her in the script. So I mean, we did consider other actresses as well, but I think we had a few meetings, and then we just felt that Petra is absolutely the right person to play this part.
Yeah, I mean, as I just said, well, we kind of postponed our shooting because of various reasons, but there's also a positive thing out of it. It's because we're able, and for Ray, he's managed to spend a lot of time to do different drafts of the script, which is, I mean, that really I mean that really been shown, because I would say why I would say All Shall Be Well is not just it's about LGBT, right? But it's not just about LGBT. It's not just an LGBT story. It's about basically it's about a situation where maybe many of us will be encounter. Yeah, so that's why I mean, yeah. So Ray and us also spend a lot of time. I mean, preparing different draft, and we also been having a number of, I mean, meeting where we will be invite people from different background to read the script, and then they will comment on it, and based on their comment we will, I mean, maybe rewrite certain part and improve the story and the script, which I would say it's quite a long process. Yeah, as far as I remember, it's lasts for almost a year, right?
Over a year, I think, from when I first showed
Yeah.
the first draft to eventually we shot it. I think it was almost 2 years, because there was
Yeah.
in the middle there was a long period of time, like we thought we were going to shoot, but we were not. But then we also kept on inviting people to come back, and they keep on feeding us comments. So when you get comments, doesn't mean you would take it right away. We also have to try it, have a discussion, write it one way, show it to them. They I mean, to my own core group of people, then they comment on it, and then we have to decide, is this the right direction that we want to go? And then maybe we have to go back and decide that, oh, actually, this is not the way we wanted to go. So we have to go back to the original version and then see what else we can improve on it. Do you know what I mean? It's like a 2-step forward, 1 step back. It's not like immediately you go and make changes. You still have to, take the notes with cautions. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the same situation for casting as well. Yes, I mean, while we are reading the script, yeah, I immediately thought of Petra, because she is really Angie. Yeah. So, and for other role, I would say we invite different actor and actress to do the casting, and they also have to spend some time to read the script and read the script. So I mean, one of the I mean, for both Suk Suk and All Shall Be Well, the character is not well. All the character in these two films, I think they're not just about acting. They are really, the character, and that's very convincing. And for example, for this time, it's about the story about a family, and you can feel that For example, one of the actors, other than Petra and Maggie, another supporting actress, I think, she has, a very she has a very good she has performed very well. That is a Mei, which is what is her name? Hui Souying. Yeah, and yeah, not only me, but many audience, while they're watching the film, they just feel like it seems like she is like our auntie, just like one of our relatives. Yeah. So these kind of familiarity, they're not just acting, but it's so natural. All the actor
Right.
and actors, yeah, they have done an excellent job, I would say. Yeah.
May is the sister-in-law in the movie. She plays the sister-in-law. Yeah.
Right, you cast the whole family in the film, and I think they have pretty good chemistry. So I was wondering if there was any process that you kind of built their chemistry together, or you just went on set and they shot it.
Yeah, one thing that I insisted is that we need to have rehearsals. I actually put it in the contract for every actors, because when I first came back to Hong Kong, when I told people that I wanted to do rehearsals, quite a lot of people in the industry in Hong Kong were quite shocked, and they said, "Are you going to actually spend 5 days not shooting, just getting them to the room and table read and not shooting it?" For them, it's quite crazy, because they felt that you need to have as much time to shoot, and therefore you cannot waste it like that. But for me, rehearsal is very important, I think, because you need to get the actors together. They did need to do a table read so that they actually know who is playing what characters, and then they can go home and reimagine what the scene will be like. And also, I do workshop with the actors as well, so that especially the important couples, playing the couples, they need to be very familiar with each other. And I also give the main characters a backstory, so that they can go home and read about it, and actually do the workshop after reading the backstory, so that they do the workshop in characters. Yeah.
So going back to Petra, so after you gave her big break on screen, I was checking her Wikipedia, and I see that she's been in a lot of films and TV shows after Twilight's Kiss, and now she's in All Shall Be Well again. So I'm just wondering, like, how does she feel about her new career and new fame?
Oh, I think it's great. Well, Petra, to start with, she was professionally, she was a teacher before, and then she did a theater on the side. And then after she retired, she said that, "Oh, well, I'm just going to travel around and occasionally do some plays," until I met Ray, and then she just changed changed my retirement plan, and now I'm like doing movies here, I'm traveling, doing Q&A and all that. But she's a trooper. We get on really well, and she's very, very fun to be with, and she gives a lot, not just to the movie, but to the other actors that she worked with. Do you know what I mean? Some actors are very private, and they will not provide a lot of feedbacks or reactions during a shoot, but Petra is very, very generous, and she will be able to come to all the rehearsals. If you want her to feed the lines, she will stay behind to feed the lines. She's very, very easy to work with and very professional.
I would also, like to add something. I would, both Petra and also Maggie, they said almost the same thing. They said that one of the reasons they agree to join All Shall Be Well. One of the reasons is because because of their age. Most of the time, the kind of role they're being offered are like mother or grandmother. Yeah, but it is very, very rare for them that they're able to participate in a film that they are just like a human being, someone who who will have struggle, who will be happy, who will going through a lot of sorrow but at the same time, they have their own desire and also their dream to pursue. Just like Lei Lam Lam, Maggie's in the film is called Pets. Even though she is already 60 something, but she is still young at heart. She's still, thinking of maybe starting her own online business. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, during the Q&A, both Petra and Maggie, they said that they're so happy that to be able to be a human being again, even though that people often thought that they should be in a much more mature role. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to jump back to the production challenges and I just want to kind of go in deeper and ask about like what is the budgeting situation like for an indie film like this in Hong Kong? Like how exactly do you raise the funds to make a movie like All Shall Be Well? And I think a lot of our more, realistically minded audiences would be interested in hearing about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we try. I mean, we after Twilight's Kiss, we thought it would be easier, and at the beginning, it felt like it was. We did get a lot of interest, and there were people who were interested in investing. And at one point, we were 80% ready. So that's when we said that we were going to shoot. But unfortunately, as everybody knows, there's a lot of changes in Hong Kong. And then COVID was a big sort of like hurdle in many ways because all the cinemas were closed down. And at one point, no one knew what's going on. And then a lot of the companies originally who were interested in investing in the movie closed down, basically closed down. Some of them at first said yes. And then when it came to signing the contract, then they decided to pull out. Because it was just too scary to invest money. And then when we did Twilight's Kiss, we also depend a lot on private investors, people who are not in the film industries. And when we approached them for All Shall Be Well at the beginning, they all said yes, but then later on, a lot of them actually left Hong Kong. Move away. So when they move away, then of course they will not be interested in investing in a movie because they wanted to bring all their money with them to the new places where they moved to. So we also lost a lot of the private investors that way. So we just from 80%, we're back to zero. And yeah, so it's again just like restarted again from ground zero, and sort of like try to get people interested again. But I mean, the lucky thing is that the success of Twilight's Kiss was able to give a lot of confidence for the investors. But in the end, it was all private. Yeah.
I see. Teresa, do you have anything to add for that?
No. No. I mean, basically, I think Ray already, shared with us for the whole story here.
Yeah, I mean, Teresa and I and Michael, we did a lot of those fundraising platforms. I mean, at one stage, I think we did 4 or 5, just like and during COVID time because. We
awesome. Yeah.
Because like they were supposed to pay for us to go, but because of COVID, we couldn't do it. So we all end up doing Zoom pitching for months, right? Do you remember? Months and months we were doing pitching online.
Yeah, I mean, our record, for Project Market within 2 months. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, very intense.
Well, I'm very glad that the film was able to be made and it was so successful at the end. I think basically my last question is for director Ray, and we've heard about the success and the awards, and we're also happy for you, but I'm curious about before all of that, before Twilight's Kiss. I think like any other filmmaker, you kind of had a period of relative obscurity. You graduated from film school, but you kind of didn't have your breakthrough until 2020 with Twilight's Kiss. So I'm wondering, like, during those years, from film school to Twilight's Kiss, like, what was that like for you? And, like, was it very difficult? And, like, kind of, like, how did you make it through those times until you hit your big break with Twilight's Kiss?
Well, I think I was a little bit different from a lot of other people because I already had another sort of like career, and then I kind of like changed it because I felt that I really wanted to be a filmmaker. So therefore, for me, being a filmmaker was more important than so-called success. So I was just very, very happy and doing what I was finally be able to do, which is writing and directing. So, I mean, I was very, very happy in film school because I was finally able to learn about movies and hang around with people who are interested in movies. And then right away after at Columbia, the course was 5 years, but you can graduate in the third year after you gave your thesis, which I did. But you are also allowed to stay for 2 more years. I don't know whether they changed the rules now, but in those days you could stay for 2 more years and pay very minimum amount of fees and use the facilities. So this is what I did, and I actually just used that time to make a feature when I was in New York and just make it. So, I mean, if you ask me what is the advice is just making it. Do you know what I mean? Just keep on making movies. I think you never know. I mean, you never know what people like. And I don't even think that people should chase what is success if you really like what you are doing, because it's an art form and it's a way of expressing yourself, and it's something that you feel is important. So just do that. And then if they like it, they don't like it. If they don't like it, tough. You might have your own group of friends who like it, and that is important as well. So of course, you know, financial success is important. But if you are able to cover the cost, then that's fine. You know, I think, you know, not a lot of people in this world are able to do what you are passionate with. So if you are able to do that, you are already 80% more lucky than most people on this earth.
I see. And how do you think the Columbia education has informed your perspective on filmmaking in Hong Kong? Like, do you feel like an outsider in Hong Kong film industry because, you know, obviously kind of your education is different?
I'm gay. I'm always an outsider wherever I go. And then I live in the West. So you know, I've been an Asian living in the West for many, many years. So I've always been an outsider anyway. But being an outsider is not necessarily a bad thing. I think sometimes being an outsider make you see the world differently and actually question a lot of the things that you think, oh, well, if that is the norm, doesn't mean that is right. You have to question it and think about it. And if you don't think that is right, then you should try to change it. So, yeah, that's fine. I'm happy with the role of being an outsider anyway.
Nice. And what's next for Ray Yeung? Like after Suk Suk, after All Shall Be Well, what would we expect from you next?
I don't know. I'm actually working on a couple of ideas, maybe hoping to shoot something that is overseas, not based in Hong Kong, but that is it's out there, but haven't got a lot of feedbacks yet. So hopefully something will come through. And I'm also developing something that is in Hong Kong, and that we will see. But this year is a bit difficult because I'm doing so much touring with the film. So I really don't have time to work on anything. Mainly just doing promotion this year. So hopefully at the beginning of next year, I can really sit down and think about what to do next, you know.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sparing your time with us, of course. And so Ray and Teresa, do you have anything to add for anything you want to share with our audience?
Just hope all the people will come to watch the movie and enjoy it, and tell your friends. As you said, we have a small budget. We don't have any marketing budget, so to speak. So the movie has gone very far, really through good word of mouth. So if people like it, please spread it. Go online and talk about it. Yes, it's a small film, but it doesn't mean that it needs to have a small audience. It can have a big audience as well.
Well, thank you very much, Director Ray and Teresa, for joining us today on our podcast. And yes, we will, once again, to all audiences, we will be hosting the Los Angeles premiere of Ray's new film, All Shall Be Well, this Saturday. And we hope to see everyone there. Thank you.
Thank you.